covering music-related content of all genres, and it filters through Eastern Texas. We want you. Come and talk to me from Texarkana down to the coast, Dallas down to Houston, and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. This is Dig It with D. Scribs. So the guest today is Mr. Ray Scott. He's been on the Grand Ole Opry 60 times. He has a few hits, some of y'all may remember, like Those Jeans, and then recently, Ain't Always Thirsty, one of my favorite songs. So y'all get ready for this amazing interview with Ray Scott. And make sure you follow us, ETX ROCKS, on Facebook. You can also find us on ETX ROCKS on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, podbean.com. So y'all be sure to check us out, and here's another great episode of Dig It with D. Scribs.
Hey everyone, this is Cody Joe Hodges, and you listen to ETX ROCKS.
Well, I ain't no bad guy or a loser, but lately it's feeling that way. Last night I passed out with my boots on. Oh, it's a cold, lonely bed that I've made. 'Cause I ain't always in love when I make love. Sometimes I don't feel a thing. And I ain't often hurting when I medicate. And I ain't always thirsty when I drink. But it ain't like I woke up this morning hoping I'd be drunk by noon, and pouring my heart out to a stranger. Oh, about the reasons that I ain't still with you, and how I ain't always in love when I make love. Sometimes I don't feel a thing. And I ain't often hurting when I medicate. And I ain't always thirsty when I drink. Sometimes I don't feel a thing. And I ain't often hurting when I medicate. And I ain't always thirsty when I drink. No, I ain't always thirsty when I drink.
So when did you get started with music?
When did I get started?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, as a kid, honestly, man, I grew up in a household with a dad that was kind of a local regional country act, and, it was just always in the house. So I grew up not only with all the country and everything else on the radio, but, also hearing my dad do those songs as well. So it was a kind of a unique way to grow up, but yeah, when, I pretty much got it in me early as a kid, and I think I probably had my first what I considered a serious band, when I was 19. but doing it ever since.
So who would you say would be your biggest influences?
Well, I mean, directly my own dad, would have been my biggest influence. But, I mean, especially from the country side of things, I grew up on all that the great 70s stuff, and so I've got a long sort of inspiration for people like William Whalen, Johnny Cash, Haggard,
Oh, yeah.
those guys. But there was, also an equal helping of Steve Earle and John Hyatt and John Prine and Guy Clark and, Jerry Reed and it's Roger Miller. A lot of stuff like that.
So, you're from North Carolina, correct?
Originally, yeah. I've lived in Nashville, Tennessee now half my life. But I grew up in Carolina, a little bitty town called Samora. And, kind of just grew up out in the country, just like so many of us do, We get involved in music, stuff like that, because there ain't a whole hell of a lot else to do.
Right. It's kind of how it is in Texas, we just sit around the bonfire, playing music, drinking beers.
Exactly.
So you moved to Atlanta.
Between that, when I was a kid, I used to go to church, help my mom sing in church too. So it was a combination of that,
Oh yeah, my mom was just sang in church too, so that's how that's where I get my big influence from, hearing my mama sing. So you moved to Atlanta, Georgia to attend the Music Business Institute, where you received your associate's degree. So after gaining all that knowledge, how much did that benefit your music career?
Honestly, over the years, you realize little subtle things here and there that you picked up from back in school. It gave me a good overview of how things worked. At the end of the day, there's nothing like, quote unquote, on the job experience to really teach you anything about it. But it does help. It does help kind of enhance your instincts for how to do everything.
Right.
So getting to Nashville, I was kind of green, but I did at least have some direction in my mind. I didn't really get in a big hurry to try to do this or that, because I wanted to soak it up and learn from a lot of great songwriters. That's the first reason I moved to Nashville, just because of the songwriting community. I don't know that I would. It's changed a lot these days from when I came here 20 years ago. But when you got writers like Dean Dillon and folks like that floating around Nashville, that's a lot of good people to learn from. So.
Oh yeah, we have a friend on our show who worked. Her name's Haley McDaniel, and she goes to Nashville a lot for songwriting. But she has this thing called they have a songtown.com, which is pretty much a bunch of Nashville artists that come together and they write, and it's a pretty cool tool.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that maybe.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's been helping me a lot, because I was having writer's block forever, and then getting on there, it's pretty fantastic. You get advice and kind of like training on how to write songs and things of that nature.
Well, sometimes it just takes hearing somebody else's song that inspires you in some ways, sort of lights fire under your ass, and all of a sudden you're off to the races again.
Exactly.
That's why I used to like to go to writers' nights in Nashville. Every now and again. Obviously, you don't want to steal people's ideas, but to hear something that somebody does that they put a different spin on, and that you respect and you admire, it does. It kind of gets your creative fires burning when you have a little writer's block, or when you go a couple of months in a slump or something. That's just kind of the way it works. But that's something I always tried to do. I always tried to watch other writers, listen to them. I used to go to bookstores. And I just look through books, I look through titles, and just try to find little words and phrases here and there that might spur on some sort of an idea or a title. Just ways to sort of break through, because you don't always get inspired automatically. Sometimes
right.
You gotta do a little digging. So it's best to kind of develop your observational skills are one of the most important things, I think. But you know, sometimes you don't get ideas, so you got to dig a little bit, and you'll sometimes you'll find something good, sometimes not so much. But part of the process is learning how to tell the difference between the two.
Oh, exactly. I can agree with that 100%. So, talking about you moved to Nashville, Tennessee, while you're there, you wrote songs like A Few Questions that Clay Walker sang, and Pray to the Fish that Randy Travis sang. So what's it like to have these big...
I actually just recorded that one on my new album, too.
Really?
Pray for the Fish. So, yeah, that's one of my favorite copyrights. Yeah.
So what's it like to hear big names like Clay Walker and Randy Travis sing something that you wrote?
It's a lot of fun. It's definitely very validating. You go to town and sometimes you don't, you believe in yourself and you don't know for sure kind of how other people receive you after a while. But when you get an artist, especially someone legendary like Randy Travis, if they like your song enough to record it, then that's saying a lot, I think, and it makes you feel like you're doing something right. Randy actually recorded 2 songs I wrote for that one album.
Wow!
And so that was a pretty cool deal, and that was back a few years ago before I got my first record deal. It definitely gives you a lot more confidence, makes you realize that hey, I might do things a little differently, but it seems like it's working. So
right.
It just continues to bolster your confidence and helps you move on to the next great song. And you gotta write a bunch of them, man, to really come out with a few special ones here and there. But but you gotta have a reason to keep doing it. And by having people like that kind of record your stuff and validate you, it makes it a lot easier to get up and write another song the next day.
Oh yeah, especially people like Clay Walker and Randy Travis. That's really cool, man.
Yeah. It's Trace Atkins got a couple of my songs too. So
man, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, speaking of the first record deal, you were signed to Warner Brother Records, and you released your album My Kind of Music, which had 3 singles. So, did you ever imagine being signed to a major label and having a successful album?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. And my intent moving to town was I wanted to get a record deal, but I wanted to be a songwriter. And I wanted to write. I wanted to write what I did. I grew up really respecting the singer-songwriters and the guys that wrote and wrote their own songs. And now I will tell you this. Now it's just as big a talent, in my opinion, to have singers who can go out and select songs that other people have written, and then take those songs into the studio and really perform them and sell them really well. That's something that is a unique and great gift in itself. It's great talent. That's something that I'm not real good at. So I was just, but I always, I've kind of always looked out of my own window, and sometimes you write yourself into a corner like that. When I did have that record deal, that first single I had out was pretty popular in some regions. Some regions wouldn't play it. Some regions thought it was too retro or too old sounding or whatever. But it was unique to me, and it helped set me apart. And that's kind of what was always important to me. I didn't really want to try to sound like everybody else on the radio.
Right, and you have a very unique sound, man. I've been pretty much listening to your whole catalog the past couple of days, and man, I'm just blown away.
Oh man, well, thank you. Yeah, it's different, man. I get a little wacko here and there too, but it's fun.
That's all that matters too, as long as you're having fun.
Oh yeah.
So you left Warner Brothers after that album, and you became an independent artist and actually gained more success, especially with your single "Those Jeans" and your album "Reality," also a big success.
Yeah.
So what was the feeling knowing you could do this without a major label?
Well, for one thing, one of the reasons I was successful with that song and that album is because, luckily, Sirius XM, the highway got behind me here in Nashville, and obviously that's satellite radio, and they broadcast everywhere, man. You're not just limited to certain regions. So, with that kind of visibility, a lot of people were hearing that song, and so as an independent artist, all of a sudden here I was selling, 400,000 copies of that song on iTunes, you know, and you know, so it was getting a lot of people's attention, and it was cool, you know. Now being an independent label, you know, unless you have a lot of funds to promote the stuff, and you know, you don't really compete with the big boys, and that's not necessarily what I'm trying to do. What I try to do is just put out, you know, what I think is quality music for the people that I know that want to hear it, and you know, we just try to do as good a job as we can to get it out to those folks. And the internet obviously has been a big help. Things like Pandora, Spotify, you know, I mean, whatever way you can get it heard, you know. Outside of that, man, it's just it's a means to work, you know. It's a means to get out there and get in front of people and play music and make a living, you know. And that's what we've been able to do. And you know, you don't necessarily get rich like the big boys, but you know, I don't have to compromise or sacrifice my vision,
right,
just to sell my soul to the devil, just to get played on big radio. So.
Exactly. I mean, and you can tell that too with each of one of your songs. You know that you really take time in something that you create before you release it, and that I appreciate that a lot about you the most, man.
Well, thank you, man. I do. I try to. You know, I try to make sure, you know, number one, something's good, but I want to make sure it's different too. I want to make sure it's sort of got my stamp on it. You know, I think in today's radio, sometimes it's hard to tell one artist from the next, and I never wanted to be lumped into that category. So I think not only the way I sound, but probably my lyrics too probably stand out a little bit for.
Oh yeah,
compared
definitely.
to some others, and that's definitely by design. I do that. I worked on that, and you know, trust me, I got a pile of songs that you know will never hear the light of day. You know, you know, but every now and again, you know, something new and something special kind of falls out, and you know, I'm finishing up a new album now, and so pretty excited about what we got on that too. So
awesome. So, what advantages do you have being an independent artist, and what are some of the disadvantages?
Well, the advantages are creative freedom, you know, first and foremost. You know, independent artists, you know, and not only being an independent artist, I'm signed to an independent label that I own. So, you know, I'm not answering to anybody else as far as what they think I should record or not record, or you know, I'm not having anybody tell me, no, I don't think I would have written that line or whatever. You know, I've been out long enough to kind of gauge what people respond to, and you know, I think you should give the listener a little more credit sometimes. I mean, I try not to be so formulaic, but, you know, the advantage of having a major label deal, really, you know, in a nutshell, is that if you happen to be one of the ones that they decide to get behind and really promote, then they throw a lot of money at it, and you end up getting a ton of exposure, and if people like it, then you're, you know, potentially, you know, you might even get rich doing it, but,
right.
You know, sometimes you have to, you know, sometimes you have to compromise, though. I mean, you got a lot of big labels out there that, you know, sign these guys, and some of these, trust me, I know a handful of guys that have big label deals, so I won't name any names, but if they had it their way, they'd be recording stuff that sounded a lot more country, because that's where their heart is. But, you know, they got the labels and management and everybody else leaning hard on them, making them, you know, do this radio-friendly stuff.
Right.
You know, because I mean, it just fits the mold a little better, and helps everybody keep their job. You know what I mean?
And we can, and definitely, us on the show, we definitely can tell a difference between, you know, the artists that are really sincere about what they put out, and then the artists that kind of just release whatever because the label told them to. So, which is why we had you on the show, because man, you just have that original, traditional sound that we like.
Well, I sure appreciate that, man. You know, I just try to do it different. You know, I mean, that's kind of always how I was put together, and I knew early on in town, even as a songwriter, you know, I didn't get out and co-write and do a bunch of that stuff with a lot of the people that were, you know, having the hits, because I still heard a lot of really sort of formulaic type approaches to it that just didn't appeal to me. You know, I always wanted to kind of do something maybe a little bit different, say something a little bit different. And every now and again it would work for, you know, masses sort of, but a lot of times it didn't necessarily work for everybody. But I've been real lucky in the fact that a lot of people that are fans of mine or listeners of mine, you know, kind of embrace that difference and they, you know, they kind of follow me and stay with me for album after album, you know, and because they, you know, it's like just fine. It's an acquired taste, but I think if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. You know?
Right. Which is awesome too, man. Because at the end of the day, you know, you're gonna die being who you were born. So why be anything else?
Yeah, that's right, man. I can tell you, man. I do know of, like I said, a couple of big label artists that, you know, pretty much not very happy at all with what they're doing right now. I know one in particular that just fired all his management and everything just because he wants to make country music, and they're trying to keep him making this bubblegum shit. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah.
You know, so you talked about, you know, starting your own label, and what you did in 2014 with Nashville record producer Dave Bernard.
Yeah, Brainerd, yeah.
Oh, Brainerd, yes, sir. So, what's the name of it, and how did the idea?
The name of the label was Raytone, and you know, it was just, you know, me and Dave. Dave was my producer at the time, and we just decided, you know, hey, you know, we had some success on those jeans and the reality record. You know, we can just sort of go out and find some investment funds and get this thing going and actually have you know, kind of a you know, a nucleus. I mean, we'll have an actual company of people working with us and working as a machine. And so we did that, and we've done pretty good at it. You know, it really takes a lot of money again to compete. So you end up spending a lot of money, but you know, it's good. I mean, it was a nice experience. You know, I've since actually taken over that company myself. And Dave and I aren't partners in it anymore. But it was a good divide. I mean, there were no issues there. I think we just decided to try something different. I wanted to do something different production-wise and make a record that sounded a little bit different than the last couple I've done. And so I've kind of gone off in a different direction now myself, and doing a little go-venture with Stony Red, and you know, looking forward to putting this next record out.
Awesome. So, me personally, I'm a huge fan of your single "Ain't Always Thirsty." I've been listening to that over and over and over and over. You know, it's such
thank you.
It's such a truthful song. So, how did that idea come for the song?
Well, I got divorced. And I was in a pretty rough spot, you know, realizing that it was my fault, and it came from the way I was living and things like that. And you know, so I tried to be as honest as I could in that song. And I think that's one reason a lot of people have related to it so much. You know, a lot of guys too. You know, honestly. So I thought I had something pretty special with it, but it was definitely born from some real pain that I was feeling. And you know, a lot of times, man, you know, songs like that, that's what they come out of, man. You know, when you're telling the truth like that, that's when people can really relate. And so, but I've been tickled to death to have that thing. You know, I mean, I wrote with my good buddy Mark Stephen Jones, who I read a couple other things with, and you know, and one of the things with that song too is not only did I want to make a very truthful song, but I wanted it to sound like a country song.
I understand you played at the Grand Ole Opry almost 50 times. Does that ever get old, or just tell us about your first time being there?
Man, I've been on there 60 times now.
Oh, wow.
You know what? The first time I played there was back about 11 years ago, man. It was a highlight of my life at the time. It was just the coolest thing, you know. And it's still, to play the Opry is still a really great privilege and honor. And you know, being an independent artist, not having songs on big radio and all that, it's a little less likely that they're going to want to, you know, to have you out so much. But they, you know, I think the Opry, I think they realize that folks out there, you know, relate to the music, and they tend to like it, you know, when we go on there. And so I've been lucky. They've had me back quite a bit.
That's awesome, man. So I want to get into your Pledge the Music campaign. What is this all about?
Well, a pledge campaign, and again, with this, I'll encourage everybody to go check it out if you're interested. It's kind of a way to raise money before the fact. Pre-selling albums, honestly, to cover some of the promotional costs that go into promoting the record and manufacturing that and kind of all that kind of stuff. I think it's a really great program. Basically what people get is, they come in, they pre-order the record, there's other bundles available, plus other things that that they can pay for, maybe that are unique to them and their experience with it. It goes from pre-ordering an autographed copy of the album all the way up to maybe paying for us to come and do a concert in your backyard, that kind of stuff. So, but it's a great way to raise money and to not have to get in the hole, necessarily with loans and investors and whatnot up front. It helps you go ahead and get the music out and ready to roll. Part of what slows down a lot of artists is, honestly, man, it's capital. It's having the money to not only record the records, but to get them finished up and get them out there in the market, because you can't just do that for free. Everything costs something. So, Pledge campaign is awesome. It's something I would highly recommend.
Awesome, man. So this next segment is something we call What the Heck. And that's basically, we ask 5 ridiculous questions. They're family friendly, but it kind of gets the interview a little goofy. Are you ready for What the Heck, Mr. Ray Scott?
Hey, what the heck?
All right. So why does Donald Duck wear a towel when he gets out of the shower when he usually is never wearing pants?
Oh man, I don't know. Maybe when it's wet, his little duck balls hang out.
That's a great answer. So if you could, really good answer. If you could collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh man, that's a good one. Well, I was always obviously a big fan of Waylon Jennings. He was a huge influence on me, and I think it'd be neat to, not only collaborate with him, just to sit down and talk to him. I just get the chance to meet him at one point and talk to him for a few minutes. But I think that would be neat. I'm being his son Shooter friends too, and but yeah, he was one of the true icons to me. So between him and Johnny Cash, those guys are.
Oh yeah,
what it's all about.
Very good answer. So why doesn't McDonald's sell hot dogs?
Well, because their food tastes like shit. They figure it doesn't need to look like it too.
Fantastic answer. So, if parents say never take candy from strangers, why do we celebrate Halloween?
Because a lot of parents drink a lot.
That's really good.
I forget what they say.
So my last question is, how come we can never tickle ourselves?
Oh, man. Because we're too busy doing other things to ourselves? I don't know. You know what? I think it's because we anticipate it if we're doing it that way.
There you go. Great answer. Well, that was What the Heck with Ray Scott. Great job, man. So you were talking about an album in the works.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about that.
I've got a record where we're actually getting close to done with at least the recording process of it. The album's called Guitar for Sale, and it's a little different sound than the last couple. I think people will notice that. For one thing, we tracked with a live band on this one, which is something I didn't really do the last couple of trips out. It's it's a little more slamming. There's a couple more darker type tunes on there. Some different musicians. It's going to have a little bit of a different feel than what folks are used to, but it's not going to be foreign to them either. But there's this record kind of consists of some songs that I've kind of had in my back pocket for a long time. A couple of which that were on my second record that I started making for Warner Brothers, which ended up not being released because I left the label before I had a chance to do that. So it's kind of a between a lot of that stuff, and I'm pretty excited. There's some stuff on there I'm really really close to, and I look forward to hearing what people think. And again, that's what we're working on with the pledge campaign. And if anybody wants to jump on there and then check out, or jump on my website, racegod.com, you can click on that link and kind of see what's going on. And, but I'm real tickled with this one. I think it's going to be some of the best work.
I'm excited to hear this, man.
Thank you, man. Yeah, me too.
So what are some social media or anything like that people can reach you at?
Yeah, I'm at Reality Check on Twitter. And that's at Reality Check, not reality. Ray Scott Music on Instagram, and of course I'm Ray Scott on Facebook, and Ray Scott Music as well on even Snapchat. So I'm all over the place, man. And again, my website is rayscott.com.
So this has been another great episode of the ETX Rock Show. This is Dig It with D Scribs. This has been Ray Scott. So y'all remember to support your local music and
ETX Rocks.
Howdy, folks. This is Aaron Watson. Support local music and ETX Rocks.
Covering music-related content of all genres and the filters through Eastern Texas, we want you. Come and talk to me from Texarkana down to the coast, Dallas down to Houston, and everything in between. We are ETX ROCKS!